Whoop! Hey guys, again. We're out here with the CB1000R, the 2011 Honda here. We're going to be doing a long-term pros and cons ride review. I've had this bike for a while now, and I put some miles down on it, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. I really do enjoy this bike, and I think it's a great budget bike in the 1000 naked bike, like super naked, upright sport bike category, right? So let's take a look at it here, and then we'll get out on the road. So here it is. I've got a little tail bag on there, little Oxford Aqua waterproof bag on it. So we're going to be doing a ride review here today, and I got about, I think it's like 5 pros and cons. Maybe it's 5 pros and 4 cons, something like that. And we've got a beautiful fall day out here. It's about 50 degrees, and I've got the warm stuff on. So I got my leathers on, but underneath I've got some warm layers to keep us nice and warm here. So here is the bike, and I'll give you just a quick look at it here. This is a really clean bike, only about 9,600 miles. It's a 2011. Got under 10,000 miles on it. There's your single-sided swing arm right there. We've got the stock exhaust on her, so it's not real loud. And these are those Dunlop Mutants that we talked about in a previous video. So let's get out there and get riding. All right, everybody. We were out here on a brisk fall day, and I'm not sure when this video is going to come out, but it is a brisk fall day right here in Wisconsin. We're on the CB1000R 2011 version, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons here. Get these tires warmed up here for a second. This has the Dunlop Mutants on it, which we knew a couple years ago from Dunlop. These tires have been, I've had these before on the R1150R on the channel, and we'll talk about those later in the video, but these really do help on gravel and such. A bit brisk out here, man, 50 degrees. And also, we have a new monolog helmet I'm running right now. This is a X-Lite 903, so we'll see how that works out with the audio, but it is a little bit quieter than the HJC R11 that I was using previously. Alright, so the first pro here, this bike has incredible handling. It is super nimble, super nimble. The bike itself is not super light, but it feels super nimble. I think it's about a 450, 460 pound motorcycle, and that's light enough for me. I like the under 500 is pretty good for you know, a bigger sport bike, at least for me personally. And there's good steering clearance as far as like the steering clearance goes. Sweeper right here, and by steering clearance I mean when you move the bars here at slow speed, you're doing slow speed maneuvers, U-turns, figure eights, that kind of stuff. There's tons of clearance on these bars. It's not like a true sport bike where you've got, like, you know, limited bar movement and it hits the tank or whatever, you know, the steering head doesn't move that far. This bike has tons and tons of clearance, so if you like slow speed maneuvers, this would be a good option for you. Got a couple of fun corners here. I don't know if the tires are quite warmed up yet, but get around here. So yeah, the nimbleness of this motorcycle is really incredible. It's really something to behold on a 1000. The second pro here goes right along with what I was just talking about, the low speed control of this bike. I like doing slow speed maneuvers, and I watch Greg's channel, Mojitsu, quite a bit, and do some of his drills, or at least I attempt to, right, and practice slow speed maneuvers. I like doing that quite a bit, and this bike is great for that, in my opinion. I enjoy using this bike for that purpose, and it does great. I'm just being careful of that trash in the corner back there. It does great with that. So if you enjoy doing that kind of stuff, if you're a weirdo like me, and you enjoy doing slow speed maneuvers in practice, another good this is also a good option for that. And this also has power too, right? All right, the third pro is the brakes on this machine. I love the brake feel in this machine. I don't know why, they're just Tokiko brakes, but man, they feel real good. It's games. Oh man. Wow. So once this thing gets above 6,000 RPMs or so, 7,000, maybe 6.5, it really flies. This Fireblade motor really goes, man. Down low, it's like really manageable down low. Honestly, I think anybody could probably ride this bike. I'm kind of jumping the gun here on this, but this is a good beginner bike. Well, technically, no. Most people would say no, but you know what? This bike is really well mannered down low. It is not jumpy at all. Like the throttling and everything is absolutely excellent on this bike. So, could a newer rider start on that? Could you start on this? You probably shouldn't, just because the power can get away from you if you rev it out. But someone with a little bit of experience have a great time in this motorcycle. It handles well. And it's got plenty of good manners for around town. Yeah, so these brakes have just the right amount of initial stopping power. In my opinion, like the way they feel, I like my brakes to kind of grab, not right at the top. Like, let's see, the 19 Speed Triple that I had, the brakes kind of like grabbed like right at the top. The initial bite was like right there. This one, the bite is like just in the right spot, at least for me. It's like maybe a quarter of the way in, you start getting that good bite feeling, and then you get about halfway in and it really starts pulling you down to a stop. And the rear brake on this too, here's some rear brake. Rear brake isn't excellent on this. It's okay, it's a little wooden feeling. Let's see, what am I thinking of here? I actually think I might like the, maybe it feels like I'm crapping on the 2019 Speed Triple here, but I don't mean to. It's just the brakes on that. The brakes got you stopped great, but the rear brake was really wooden on that bike, worse than this bike. The R1 I think maybe has a little better rear brake feel than this bike, which is kind of odd and maybe kind of useless on an R1 because it's, you know, you mostly use the front brakes in a true sport bike, so your weight's over the front wheel. But I like the brake on this better than the R1's front brake, and I don't mean power-wise. I mean for the feel. I like the feel of this front brake better. And this is only unless I'm mistaken, yeah, this is only a 4-pot, I believe. The R1 has a 6-pot. This is always tons of trash in this corner. Very unfortunate. This would be a great corner if it would stay clean, but people go through the side of the road there, knock all that gravel pieces and junk up on the road, crushed asphalt or whatever. All right. So the brake feel, the front brakes in this bike. A little speed up here. Front brakes feels excellent. Love it. Absolutely love it. No complaints at all. In fact, I wish these brakes were some of the other bikes that I've owned before, to be honest with you guys. We're getting this the twisty section of the review here. Oh yeah. Alright, the ergonomics are up next. This is a upright naked bike, right? Alright, so here's the next pro. Should be what, the 4th pro? Is the ergonomics. And I can ride this bike for a long time and I never get sore back, sore wrists, sore neck, none of that kind of stuff. This bike just fits me. Like it just, I don't know, I mean, it's not going to fit everybody. I'm about 5'10", 32-inch inseam. It's not going to be perfect for everyone, of course, but for me, I weigh about 190 pounds right now. Geared up, I'm probably closer to 200 pounds, probably 196, 197, you know. And for me, it fits me absolutely perfectly. I don't think I've had a bike, well, it's probably a toss-up between this and the BMW S1000R as far as fitment goes, as far as like, for me personally, this one is probably a little better. So I guess I'll insert this here, this little, my own thoughts about that, is I think this is the best bike for me compared to the S1000R. That was probably the best bike I've ever ridden. far as feel and fitment for me, brake feel, everything combined, maneuverability, this is a extremely close second, and this is way less expensive. This, especially these generations, this is a 2011, but like the 2011, 2013, like those kind of years, man, you can get these bikes for a comparative song compared to the BMW stuff, the S1000R at least. And the reliability of this, except for the cam chain tensioner, which we'll talk about later, is oh, we got some deer. They heard me coming though and scrambled. That is an example of why not to come over blind rises like that back there, like that blind rise there. It's absolutely screaming. I'm glad I was braking a little bit there, because you can come over the blind rise, it could be empty like this here. It could be empty the last 10,000 times, but then the 10,001st time, you got 4 deer in the middle of the road, right? Just like this right here. Man, this is the day of the deer here. I don't think I've seen this many on this road before, to be honest with you guys. But we'll just be careful around the blind areas up here. And we'll keep talking about this awesome machine. So yeah, the BMW S1000R, I think, was in comparison to this. Well, for the price, well, if cost was no option, I'd take the BMW, and if a dealer was closer to me to service it. But since there's basically no dealer in my state, in Wisconsin, maybe over in the east side there is somewhere, I'm right in the middle of the state, and I'd have to go over to like Minneapolis or something to get it serviced. And the cost, I would much rather go with a Japanese motorcycle, because there's dealers around here that will support these, or even Ducati. There's an independent cycle that can also is like a Ducati specialist, or they like the older stuff. But yeah, so for me, KTM and BMWs are kind of tough in my area because there's not really any dealer support. So this is just a personal thing, but for you wherever you guys live, it might be the complete opposite. I don't know. Got a big bump here. All right. So all that being said, I think this is a great budget bike, but we'll talk more about that later. Okay, something just happened back there. We're going to talk about the cons, but okay. So the next pro here is, I believe that this is probably the smoothest transmission I've ever had of a bike that doesn't have a quick shifter. There's no quick shifter on this, of course, because it's 2011. But this and the CB1000 that I had, the cruiser, retro cruiser that Honda puts out, or was putting out anyway, at least in the US, this transmission and that transmission are probably the absolute smoothest transmissions I've ever ridden. Of the probably 20 some bikes I've had these last few years while I've been doing YouTube and buying, selling bikes and such. And this, I'll demonstrate it up here as we go around this sweeper type thing into okay, so here we go, up in, just massively smooth. Massively, man, are these brakes good. I love these brakes. It is just super smooth transmission. And I don't normally do clutches shifts much anymore, but I did there when I was under acceleration. But yeah, the transmission of this guy is just top notch. I can't recommend it enough. Can't say enough good things about it. Quick shifter on this would be sublime. Man, it would be good. And I suppose the new CB1000Rs, they've changed the styling since, this model. I suppose the new ones, I'm sure, do have a quick shifter, and if they did retain this motor too, so I'd imagine they also retain the transmission. I'd have to look that up. But man, that would be a top-notch experience in my opinion. So, man, I guess I got a lot more to say about this bike than I thought I did. I guess that happens when you own a motorcycle for a little bit longer period of time than I normally do. All right. The last pro here is also transmission related, and it is about the clutch. The clutch lever, to be exact here. The clutch lever has an excellent feel. Here, I'll show you right here. So you pull up here, and just like where it grabs and how it releases, like the friction zone. It's just like, it's really good, really progressive, really smooth. It hits in kind of just the right place for me. It is adjustable as well, right there. The brake lever is also adjustable on this. You can see the adjustment right there. And yeah, these are just the stock levers, of course. And I really do like the stock levers, and I do like the way that this clutch grabs. And it's impressive. Once again, highly recommend. And I think that is the last pro, so we're going to be getting into the cons next. Uh-oh. The first one I will touch on here is the major one for me. And it's very unfortunate, actually, is the little caveat here. So we'll talk about it first, and then I guess I'll caveat it afterwards. The cornering feel, like when you're at lean on this bike, it is, I don't know, it just doesn't give me confidence. I never really, I guess I didn't think about it before until I had the R1 now. I got an R1, and I got the Busa as well, actually. And both of those bikes feel more planted in the corner and give you like a true sense of confidence at lean. This bike, when you're in the corner, I don't know if I need to like maybe stiffen the suspension up a bit, because the suspension is fully adjustable on this, or if it's the Dunlop Mutants on this bike. But, okay, so if I wouldn't have had these tires before, I would say, these tires suck, they don't give you any corner confidence, they feel slippy, right? Except, I've had these tires before on the R1150R. If you go back and watch that review, I can put a little link to it in the description or up above here, pop-up, if I remember. And yeah, go check out that review. And those tires in that bike, man, I absolutely love them. It felt great, had tons of corner confidence. But man, on this bike, I'm like, depending on the corner, this one's kind of sandy, but like that was just, even that far, dude, on the end there, that was like, I felt like I was wandering, like it was sketch. Let's try this one here. And it's not just the rear tire, like when you accelerate out of the corner, it's the front too. It just like feels kind of wandery and sketchy. And it could just be these tires on this bike. It is a little cold out today too, but I've been riding this all summer, and like, it's like this even when it's hot. It's not as bad when it's hot, it's a little better, but like, it could just, man guys, it might just be these tires. It might just be these tires. It's really, it's hard to say. I don't want to say it's the bike. I would say it's probably the combination of this bike and these tires is maybe what the issue is. But it could have something to do with the bike geometry, because I rode this bike on the old tires before I got these, and I didn't really note that before. So it could just be these tires, to be honest with you guys. But all that being said, it's very unfortunate because these tires were expensive, so I don't really intend on like changing them out. And if I do change them out, right, I would keep this rubber because it's a pretty standard size. But if you change it out and it's still the same, that would be even more mega disappointing, right? And it's not that I've ever slipped out or crashed on the bike. I never have. I don't probably lean far enough to do that anyway most of the time, because one, I'm kind of sketched out on these tires, and two, I'm not a track guy, so my form, my like hanging off the bike and all that needs work yet, and I am working on that. But here, let's get a little pull here. This thing is wild. When you get up in the rev range, this thing is absolutely wild, you guys. It pulls so hard when you get up in the rev range. And this has only got, what, 125 horse in the crank or something like that? I think it's under 130. But man, when you get up in the revs, this thing has a real nice top end rush. It's not as good as the R1, but the top end rush in this thing is, I mean, it is no joke. I'm gonna take a left here. It is absolutely no joke, you guys. Nothing to be trifled with, that's for sure. Even being in 2011, the newer ones have more power than this, but... Alright, So I think I've railed on the handling enough. That is a major issue for me. Share in the comments if you guys have one of these, or if you've had Dunlop Newtons, if you've experienced that kind of wandering feeling in the corners, even when the tires are warmed up. I mean, they're definitely warmed up by now. I've been doing enough braking acceleration here. They ain't warmed up now, they never will be. So yeah, it's just it's an interesting phenomenon. Otherwise, I absolutely love this motorcycle, so that's why this niggle is a major niggle for me. But everything else about this bike, it's basically the perfect motorcycle for me if I could get this weird wandering feeling kind of sorted. I may just try different tires on it next season, to be honest, totally honest with you guys, because I really do love this bike otherwise. We're heading towards a different back road here, so we're hitting these unfun straights, but there is a fun road coming up after this, which might be in this video. This is going to be a really long review, I think, this time. Longer than I intended, but I guess I had a lot of thoughts to share. So, alright, the next con number 2, is the seat on this. The seat is just okay. It's fine for the amount of riding that I do. I'm not doing 4 or 5 hour days, at least I haven't yet, so a couple hours on this, totally fine. It hits me just about right, you know, in the glutes and stuff. It is a bit slippery, well, at least with leathers on. And the sides of the tank here, I should put some like a clear grip pad on here, because when you stop, you really do slide forward on this bike. And I suppose that's common in any sport bike, but with this one especially, it really does slide forward. And if I would have some grips here on the sides, see, my legs actually don't hit up here where this tank is. They actually hit down here. So I would need to put the grips on the plastic part right there, if you can see that. That's where the grips would have to go, which I probably will do. But yeah, the seat's just okay. It's there's not a lot of padding on it. It's fine though. It's kind of thin but relatively firm, but it's way better than the R1. I mean, there's no comparison. The R1 seat is not bueno. That is and it's not meant for that anyway. It's meant for aggressive riding, and you know, it's not meant to be a sport tour by any stretch of the imagination. That's a true track weapon. So this seat is okay, but it's not great. If you're going to do long distance on this, you should probably get some kind of an aftermarket seat, or just get off and stretch for a little longer than you normally would and get gas or something like that. You'll be fine. But yeah, it's just okay. So I put it under the cons. Otherwise, it is definitely not the worst seat I've had, though. I've most definitely had worse seats. That is for sure. Alright, third con here is the infamous cam chain tensioner issue. And I point down here because that's where it is right there. You can probably see it right there. The infamous cam chain tensioner issue, which this one has. Oh yeah, buddy! Woo! Oh man, we are not taking this corner that fast, so I'm slowing down. Okay, let's see how it feels to lean on this new road surface here. That felt okay there. So yeah, the cam chain tensioner issue. This bike has it. A lot of sport bikes do, especially the Spiderblade motor and the CB1000R, similar issue. Where this isn't because of mileage in this one. This one has 9,700 miles on it, as you can see right there. But this is just because of age, I believe. So the spring, the automatic cam chain tensioner spring, gets weak over time and no longer pushes enough pressure upon the cam chain, which makes it rattle. You can only hear it in this. It's just like beginning. You can hear it between like 2,000 and 3,000 RPMs. You can kind of hear the cam chain. Let's see if I can get it to replicate it here if I slow down here. Can't really hear it right now, but you can hear it, especially when the bike's colder. And yeah, so I'm ordering one, and it'll be in here, and I'll just replace it. It's about $100 part with the gasket, and we'll just get her done. Yeah, I don't know. I keep going back to that sketcy feeling here that I was talking about. Like this, it held fine there, but I was definitely like it just kind of like worries me for lack of a better term, when I corner on this bike, I'm like never quite sure that it's gonna hold. And it's never let me down. It just gives me like such a strange sense of like, it's like you're always like a couple degrees away from sliding out, but it never does. It just always feels like you never quite planted like you want to be. And I think it's a combination, like I said, of this bike's geometry and these tires. Here because I don't know where maybe some gear crossing actually going on. Alright, so the cam tensioners get changed out on this. That's a common problem with sport bikes, so I thought I'd throw it in the cons, but you guys know it's a common problem. And just something you got to deal with. You can put a manual cam chain tensioner if you want to on there, and it's really easy. The pro about it is it's really easy to get to on this bike. It's literally right there. You don't have to take anything off. It's 2 volts. Get her done. Get her changed out, get a stock one or a manual one, no big deal. On the CB1000R, I've watched some videos on that, and it looks like it's really buried in there. Got to pull the tank, and you got to get some special tool to get the fit in there to adjust it or get it out, because it's buried underneath the frame on the right side. And then yeah, it's rough from what I've seen. So some disassembly is required on that. This not the case. So if you want the Fireblade motor and you want an easy cam chain tensioner fix, you don't have to worry about tearing stuff apart. The CB1000R will get you that, and even though it has the issue, right? Alright, the last con here is a common con to most sport bikes as well, is accommodations for the passenger back there. Not real bueno. It's pretty rough. I've had passenger on this, and yeah, it was it's not a real fun time. The slide around, the seat in the back is slippery like the front seat is, and they have to really know what they're doing. And they have to be able to grip you with their legs or hold on to. There's really nothing to hold on to back there. There's no really grab bars, no backrest obviously. Maybe you could customize something, but yeah, it's just it's not a good passenger experience, let's say. It's a, how could I put it? It's a suboptimal passenger experience. But that's the case with most sport bikes. So I guess that con is maybe would be a common con to most nakeds or sport bikes, unless you're getting a sport touring bike. Then you're gonna have better passenger accommodations, of course. So, but just I thought it's worth a mention if you guys haven't had one of these before, and you're looking at maybe taking a passenger. I mean, you can go through town or something, or go for a 10-15 minute ride, maybe 20-minute ride. But after that, and if you're gonna be riding hard and like braking hard and stuff, they're gonna slide around, and it's just one of those things that's to keep in mind. All right, so we better come to an end here, because this has been a spicy meatball of a review, real long. Love the brakes. These brakes are amazing. Okay, so who is this bike for, right? Who is this bike for? We usually end most of our reviews with this. I think this bike is for somebody who wants the Fireblade motor, the 1000, double R motor. It's tuned differently, of course, in this bike, less horse and such for the street. And I think they try to give it more low-end torque, which it has plenty of. It feels great. And so who's this bike for? Well, it's for somebody. It'd be a good like second, third bike, like you've had a bike or two and you're moving up, and you want something with like the Fireblade power, but you don't want to be all hunched over all the time, which naked bikes are known for having good upright bars. This has the stock bars. There's no riser or nothing on this, and it's just about right for me. It's just about perfect. You're not like straight up and down like you would be here. You've got a bit of a lean if you bend your arm, so it's a little sporty still. The pegs are really good on this. The stance where your legs are. I'm not super crunched up like the Busa or the R1. It feels good. This is for somebody who wants to have a bunch of power, torque on a budget, and wants to be comfortable. That's who this is. This is a great budget 1000 naked bike. These on the used market, I would definitely recommend if you're looking for 1000 naked sport bike. There's the cam chain right there. You can hear it doing its thing. So I got to replace that. So the tensioner, I mean, yeah. So this is for somebody who wants to move up and wants to be on a budget though and get that 1000 kind of power, bit of the top end rush, but be able to sit up straight and have you know, the Honda reliability, of course, too, which is pretty legendary at this point, as everybody knows. Along with, you know, Yamaha's reliability and such too is very good. So I think that's who this bike is for. First bike, if you have to get a 1000 for your first bike, which you shouldn't, if you have to, I would say this should be a contender for you, especially because of the price. Go pick one of these up, and if you can find a smoking deal for like $4 to $5 grand, you should be able to find one. And depending, especially during the winter time like this up north, you can probably find one for $4 or $5 grand. I would say you can have an absolute ton of fun on one of these bikes, and you could learn on it if you had to. I wouldn't recommend, but you could. And you could still get yourself some real fun games, I'll tell you what. So I think that we should probably end this here. So anyway, this was a pretty extended review on this bike. This might be the longest ride review I've done, but I have some strong opinions about this bike, I guess, believe it or not. And I do enjoy it. Some people say that Hondas don't have any character. This one has some character that really pulls, like, oh man, when you get above like half throttle and you're at like 65-7, this thing just like, it really pulls. I don't know if it like rips your arm. It doesn't really like rip your arms off like you know, like an MT10 would, like we had in the channel here. But it's got good pull, like good solid pull. It's got like that rather than like rip your arms off, it's like a turbine spooling off. It's like yeah, it's good though. It is real good. So this is a great bike. With the cornering, the way that the weird kind of feeling cornering, I think might be the Dunlop Mutants on this motorcycle specifically, maybe are just not a great option for this bike. And I really loved these tires on the R1150R. They were really good in that bike. So it'll be interesting to see if I keep this long enough to get another set of tires on this, to see what the case is, to see if it truly is just these tires or if it's this bike. But I think that I may also be getting a Kawasaki Z900, and if I still have this bike at that point, that's probably gonna be next season though. It would be great to do a comparable between those two, because they're you know, they're very comparable. This one has a little more horse, but they're pretty comparable, so that'll be interesting to see what the differences between them are, and if that cornering. But see, I didn't have that cornering problem with, I had Dunlop Road Smart 3s on the Speed Triple, and the Speed Triple always felt like an absolutely on rails in the corner. So man, this thing gets up and moves, and the power band is just usable too. I mean, the power band is right where you want it to be for the street. You can go through a couple gears and feel good. Whereas on the R1, the second gear all the time, you're just get your face ripped off immediately with, you know, excessive speed. So yeah, this is just really usable on the street. It's a great bike, except for the cornering issue that I've got, or the cornering, like what you call it, the cornering confidence issue, which may just be a tire problem for this bike. So anyway, man, thanks for watching, you guys. I appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy this content, and I hope everybody's doing well. We will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.